When I first read the script, I didn't read it in one sitting because I got scared, so I stopped. And then I think mid-read, you know, my reps were like, Jeff is interested in meeting with you, so I said, let me go ahead and finish this scary script that scared me. And then I reached that turn, which is, you know, Jessica's, essentially her emotional arc of the story, where she's, you know, in that nightmare sequence that I'm obsessed with, that I think we hopefully executed beautifully, and I was hooked.
I think this movie harkens back to like 80s horror movies. It has like something about it that is very grounded. It goes to some very wild places, but at its heart, it's a really grounded emotional story. And I think it's fun. I think ultimately you should come away feeling like you've been on a fun theme park ride and you want to see more.
I was inspired to bring Imaginary together because I was challenged by Jason Blum to make a really slow, creepy movie. And I just wanted to try a very kind of slow, terrifying supernatural thriller.
Imaginary is a psychological horror film that takes a common childhood experience to terrifying extremes. The film follows an average family whose youngest child develops a relationship with a seemingly harmless imaginary friend. However, when a series of eerie and inexplicable events begin to unfold, they are forced to confront the horrifying truth. Chauncey is real and he is out for vengeance. The film blurs the lines between reality and fantasy and explores the psychological and supernatural elements of fear, revenge, and the enduring power of the imagination.
So I read the script, I thought it was just very creative. This script is like his imagination gone wild. It's just like you can just see the contents of Jeff Wadlow's mind and dreams and nightmares, you know, and I totally like that. And I like that he takes a kid's imagination and turns it into a whole other dimension world that one can actually go to and experience. And I like the idea of the endless potential of imagination and to pay attention to a child's dreaming. That imagination can actually manifest in the world in a real way. And I think that's true. Everything that we experience and think about and believe in will happen, you know, in so many ways. And that's why it's be really careful what you ask for, you know, because it'll come true if you're not vigilant and say yes to this or no to that, you know. So I like that thematically about the movie.
A major motif in the film is the artwork that our lead character creates. Jessica is an illustrator and she has a series of children's books called Molly Millipede. And she's taken a lot of these terrifying images from her dreams, but also from her past, and tried to understand them, try to work them out through her artwork and her books. So what's cool for me about that as a filmmaker is we're able to seed a lot of these ideas, a lot of these visuals, the hallway, the blue door, the spider. You see sort of the children's version of these things in these sort of Lewis Carroll-esque books. But you see how she's taken these things that have happened to her and she's tried to process them through her creative assets, right, to generate something that she can try to understand and share with the world.
She doesn't know yet, you know, she has this deep insecurity around family, you know, that she doesn't feel like she knows how to be in a family. She's never been a part of a traditional kind of nuclear family. So in that respect, this experience, when we first meet her in this story, this is completely new. We know the superficial things about her. We know she's an illustrator. We know she's successful. She's published. But we don't know, because she's still figuring out who she is in the context of this new role of motherhood that she finds herself thrust in.
Max is probably the most centered person in the story, given that one of his daughters is a teenager and the other one makes friends with a funny-looking bear. And his wife in the movie, played by Dwanda, has her own history, and I think in the movie Max serves as a nice, stable person for them all to feel at ease with and calmer around, and it was nice for me to play that center of the movie. But then he makes the mistake of going on tour with his band, and so that that emotional support is not there in the same way, and I think the movie starts to move in a scary direction.
I would describe Taylor, she's a 16-year-old girl. She's sarcastic. We find her at a place where she's pretty unhappy with the situation that she's in, and she cares a lot about her younger sister, Alice, but she does not care too much about her stepmom, Jess.
Alice is at the new house, getting out of her car, and she sees this new house, and it's a big house, it's a beautiful house. And Alice is the youngest daughter of the family. And she's been through a lot of trauma in her life with her mom, her biological mother, and that just makes her a little bit off. And that's why she finds love and confidence in this new imaginary friend.
So the way you make something wonderful, like a stuffed animal, creepy, is you just kind of make it off by like 5%. So you look at Chauncey, his eyes are asymmetrical, his ears are out of whack. And that's something that I really learned from James Wan that he talked a lot about when he looked at the script, because he's a part of Blumhouse now. And we really leaned into that idea. And also implying that there's something else going on, like something childlike and wonderful is fine when it's in the foreground, but what's going on in the background? What if there's something else, something a little more sinister? And that's where this idea of the entity came from too. It was a note from James Wan as well, this notion that the evil is not just the bear, but it's actually something else that's manipulating the bear, projecting the bear for our characters to see.
I have gone to work with Chauncey Bear. It's really cool how they take the face off of him. I'd heard them talking about it a little bit, but I was like, I don't really understand what they're saying. And then I got on set, and then they're like, okay, taking the face off, and then they just plop it off and then put a different expression on, which is so funny and so cool.
I will always choose a practical plus VFX approach, because what that does is it gives the actors something to play against. It creates a reality, and it's not just for the talent on camera, it's for the audience in the theaters, because they can feel the weight of something real. And so what you want to do is you want to trick the audience. You want to present something real, so they're focused on the real thing, so the actors are focused on the real thing, but then you change something they're not looking at, right? So if it's a puppet, right, you have the real thing there, and there's rods, there maybe even is a puppeteer behind it, but you paint out the rods, you paint out the puppeteer, but the thing that they're looking at is the real thing. So that applies to sets too. At one point we talked about, is the Never Ever just a CG set? I said, no. We want to build a real set, because this is a fantastic place, and it has to have a weight. It has to have a reality to it. We have to believe that we're in a real place, and then we'll just augment it with VFX. We'll do little things that make it seem a little bit more fantastical, but we want to ground it in a reality.
I think Alice really likes Chauncey because she can take care of something and love something, and she just can play with someone and have someone to kind of interact with. I think she was scared to go through the blue door, but once she got into the imaginary world, she was happy and all her badness went away.
The Never Ever is a place that's always shifting, and it's a reflection of what you want and what you fear. It's a kind of almost a tactile representation of your psyche. In life we have all these choices, we have all these doors we can walk through, and I wanted the Never Ever to reflect that.
Yeah, it's really fun to work with younger actors because they're in the first steps of their career. Having said that, both of them have been regulars on television shows and have a lot of experience at a young age. And I was really impressed with how professional they are, and not in a structured way, not in a way of this is how I have to behave. They just understand the job and turn up and do it. And there's nothing outside of that, which I really enjoy. Sometimes I have trouble with adult actors who there's lots of other extra stuff, and it's not just about doing the job. And actually, it's not just about doing the job. We had a really fun time, and they're able to switch between the seriousness of the job and acting, but then also have a good time and be a real person in the world.
Piper was our first choice and kind of our only choice. Really, she needs none of us. Piper is going to be a CEO one day. She's going to probably be directing herself. She's such a filmmaker. She is a true pro. I want everyone to see her audition tape because it's just blew us away, not just her work and her emotional availability, but also her capacity of human understanding. Like immediately after her audition, she goes, okay, let me shake it off. Jeff, can I tell you a joke? She has an awareness that many adult performers don't possess.
I actually have a whole stuffed animal family, and it's stuffed bears. But now after this movie, I kind of want to get rid of them because bears are now creepy to me. But it's a bear family of my family, my mom, my dad, me, and my 2 older brothers.
I remember certain things, but I don't remember ever having any kind of imaginary friend. But as I do have a 2-year-old now, and he is becoming more aware of the world and things around him, I definitely am seeing how children can be very scary. and just in how, because it's something about like when a child wakes up in the middle of the night and is crying, which has happened, it's kind of terrifying because also when they're younger, they can't talk to you, so they can't tell you what's wrong. That's really scary, actually. It's generally a simple thing that you can fix, but you have to figure out what that is, and there's a panic that can come with trying to fix or help your child. And I can see how a year or 2 from now, when my son is able to talk, it could be even worse. Because he'll be panicking and then he'll say something terrifying and then I won't know what to do.
This will be the 3rd movie we do with Jeff Wadlow. We previously worked with him on Truth or Dare and Blumhouse's Fantasy Island. I have a lot of trust in his ability, so when he came to us with this idea, we were excited to explore the world.
I hope audiences take away from this film that imaginary friends might not be imaginary and that they can be a lot of different things to different people. They can be wonderful companions, they can be terrifying monsters, and they can also be vengeful spirits who will not let go.
Chauncey's coming for you.
Start painting slowly. Yep, going up to the corner. Might need to get some more paint now.